Hey, what's going on, everyone? Today is the 8th of January, 2024. We're going to talk about U.S. Senator Robert Menendez, his wife, and 3 New Jersey businessmen charged with, you guessed it, bribery. Now, this is nothing new for Robert, the U.S. Senator who was a Democrat. He's been through this before. Back in 2015, yeah. The case against Senator Menendez began to take shape in 2015 when he was indicted by the federal government. Now, the indictment accused Menendez of accepting gifts and campaign contributions from wealthy people. In that situation, it was a doctor, in exchange for using his political influence to benefit the doctor's business interests. These gifts included luxury vacations and campaign donations. Now, the trial for that original indictment for bribery charges back in 2015 occurred in 2017. The prosecution argued that the senator had accepted nearly $1 million in gifts and campaign contributions from the doctor in exchange for political favors. The defense, talking about Robert and his attorneys, maintained that the gifts were not bribes, but tokens of a long-standing relationship between Menendez and the Dr. Melgen. Wow, that's going to be the hard part right there, that the prosecution will have to prove. Was it a gift or was it a bribe? The trial concluded in November of 2017 with a hung jury, meaning a mistrial. This meant that the jurors were unable to reach a unanimous verdict on any of the charges against Menendez. Following the mistrial, the Justice Department initially intended to retry the case, but then in 2018, the federal prosecutor decided to drop the charges against him. This decision came after the judge acquitted Menendez of several of the charges, significantly narrowing the case against him. The dismissal of charges marked a significant legal victory for Robert, allowing him to retain his Senate seat and continue his political career. Now, that was all from 2015 through 2018. Bring it to today, right here, from justice.gov. Robert Menendez allegedly agreed to use his official position to benefit Wael Hana, Jose Uribe, Fred Daibes, and the government of Egypt in exchange for hundreds of thousands of dollars of bribes that Robert and his wife Nadine, which included gold, cash, and luxury vehicle. Here it is right here. Now, here's some of the images that the prosecution is trying to say that he received in exchange for his political power. Money, cash. Here it is. Let me read this. Between 2018 and 2022, the Menendez agreed to and did accept hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of bribes from Hana, Daibes, and Uribe. These bribes include gold, cash, a luxury convertible, payments towards Nadine Menendez's home mortgage, compensation for a low or no-show job, home furnishings, and other things of value. In June 2022, the FBI executed a search warrant at their home. During the search, they found many other fruits of this bribery scheme, including cash, gold, and luxury convertible home furnishing, over $480,000 in cash. Much of it was stuffed in envelopes and hidden in clothing closets, and a safe was discovered in the home, as well as over $70,000 in cash in Nadine's safe deposit box, which also searched pursuant to a separate search warrant. Some of the envelopes contained the fingerprints and/or DNA of Daibes or his driver. Other of the envelopes were found inside jackets bearing Menendez's name and hanging in his closet as depicted below. This man had a lot of cash in his house. They ran fingerprints on some of the envelopes, and one of the envelopes had one of the businessman's fingerprints. Is that plausible? Does that mean it's a bribe? Just because the fingerprint is on an envelope with cash? During the same search, agents also found home furnishing provided by Hana and Daibes, the luxury vehicle paid by Uribe parked in the garage, as well as over $100,000 worth of gold bars in the home, which were provided by either Hana or Daibes. Two of the gold bars Daibes provided are depicted in the photographs below. So they're giving you the evidence that they have for the case, the prosecution. They're trying to say that the cash, the money, the home furnishings, all of this was used as bribery. They're trying to say that Robert and his wife accepted these things for his political power to give the businessmen something in their favor. In exchange for these and other things of value, Menendez agreed to use his power and influence as a senator to seek to protect Hana, Uribe, and Daibes' interests and to benefit the government of Egypt. Through this corrupt relationship, Menendez agreed to take a series of official acts and breaches of his official duty. First, Menendez took actions to benefit the government of Egypt and Hana, including by improperly pressuring an official at the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, to seek to protect a business monopoly granted to Hana by Egypt. Second, Menendez took actions seeking to disrupt a criminal investigation undertaken by the Office of the New York Jersey Attorney General related to Uribe and his associates. Third, Menendez recommended that the president nominate the U.S. attorney who Menendez believed he could influence with respect to Daibes, and sought to disrupt a federal criminal prosecution undertaken by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of New Jersey. So in exchange for all that he had in his house, the prosecution, or the federal criminal prosecution, the U.S. Attorney Office is trying to say that he did these things in exchange. Promise actions to benefit Egypt and pressure the USDA. I'm not going to read all this. I will have the link to it of the video in the description of the video. You guys want to read all of it, but I wanted to also show you, here's the court case. Also, if you guys want to read it, I will have that as a link too as well. But I really wanted to talk about this here from NBC. Bob Menendez hit with new allegations involving bribes in a Qatari investment deal. What's going on? Who has it out for this dude? Somebody really trying to get him. He went through this bribery indictment again back in 2015 through 2018. Nothing came of it. It dropped, mistrial. Charges were dropped. Here it is now, 2024. Got charged again, got indicted again for more bribery charges, more accusations. And then just yesterday, this article comes out saying that another superseding indictment against him following previous allegations of accepting bribes. So they're adding more allegations of bribery to the original case, to this case right here. They're adding more, which in this situation, they're trying to say that bribes with Qatar. The new allegations say Menendez made positive statements about Qatar to help a New Jersey developer get a multi-million-dollar investment from a company tied to the country. The developer cited in the indictment is Fred Daibes. Again, these two individuals have a lot of business going on, right? From what the prosecution is trying to say. Who has been charged in the case? During the time of the discussions in late 2021-2022 for the investment deal, Menendez allegedly made a number of statements supportive of Qatar. Prosecutors allege that Daibes exchanged text messages with Menendez about the alleged scheme. In September 2021, Daibes sent Menendez via an encrypted app photos taken from Daibes' computer of luxury watches valued from $9,990 to $23,990 and asked Menendez, "How about one of those?" According to prosecutors. Does that mean it's a bribe? Just because he sent through an encrypted message? Do you like one of these watches? Adam Fee, a lawyer for Menendez, said the new allegations stink of desperation. Like they're reaching for straws. They already know maybe the first couple of indictments or allegations of bribery is not going to stick. Can't prove it. No clear evidence. So now they're trying to get him on new indictment charges of bribery. He said prosecutors assemble a string of baseless assumptions and bizarre conjectures based on routine, lawful contacts between a senator and his constituents or foreign officials. They are turning this into a persecution, not a prosecution. Menendez and Daibes have both pleaded not guilty in the case. Prosecutors alleged in an indictment in September that Menendez's wife, okay, we already went through that. The new indictment indicates that federal prosecutors reviewed web searches by Menendez after he returned in October 2021 from a trip to Qatar, where they allege Menendez searched, how much is 1 kilo of gold worth? Wow. So you just cannot search on the internet no more and just say, okay, how much is a kilo of gold worth now? They're trying to connect dots to make their case strong. The prosecution is. And if you're trying to allege, just because somebody types on their computer, how much is a kilo worth of gold worth, that all of a sudden makes your case strong? I don't know about all that. It's going to be difficult to prove that. Now, how can you prove bribery? It requires specific elements of the crime. Now, it could vary by the jurisdiction, and generally the elements are, okay, first, offer or exchange of something of value. Okay, in this situation, the prosecution is trying to say there's been gold, cash, car, home furnishings, internet search saying, okay, how much is gold, a kilo worth of gold worth? They had to prove that. It has to be clear evidence that something of value was offered, given, received, or solicited. That is where they come with that encrypted text when Daibes asked Menendez, how about one of these? Intent to influence or be influenced. That's the next element. The prosecution must demonstrate that the bribe was intended to influence the actions of the recipient. They had to prove that. This means showing that the person giving the bribe intended to sway the decision or action of the recipient. In this case, the recipient would have been Menendez. The person giving the bribe would either be Daibes, Uribe, or Wael Hana. And the recipient understood and was willing to be influenced in their official capacity in exchange for the bribe. The prosecution has to prove all of that, especially influence in their official capacity. Connection to an official act or duty. The bribe must be connected to an official act or duty. This means the bribery attempt was made to affect a decision, action, or judgment in an official capacity. Okay. It's important to prove that the bribe was related to a specific action or decision that the public official or employee was in a position to make or influence. That's another hard element that the prosecution will have to prove. The next element, corrupt intent. The act of bribery must involve a corrupt intent. This means that both the giver and the receiver of the bribe understood that the payment was intended as a quid pro quo, something given or received for something else. Bribery cases look like they're going to be hard to prove. The next element is evidence. Proving bribery typically requires substantial evidence, which can include direct evidence such as eyewitness testimony, video, audio recordings. You get it. You also have circumstantial evidence, indirect evidence from which an inference of corrupt intent can be made, i.e., during an internet search, looking for how much a kilo worth of gold is worth, such as unusual bank transactions, a sudden change in lifestyle, home furnishing purchases, a luxury car in the garage. That's what they're trying to say. That's circumstantial evidence, though. Bribery cases often rely on a combination of direct and circumstantial evidence to build a strong case. The prosecution has to do that. And they're trying to show you off of the court case here, as well as on the images that they provide, that has actually been the case. They need to present a coherent narrative that convincingly links the bribe to a specific intent to influence an official act. This can be very challenging, especially in cases where there is no direct evidence and the case hinges on interpreting the actions and communications of the involved parties. Very hard to do. So this, again, looks to be on the doorstep of Robert Menendez, the senator, the Democrat of New Jersey. He's about to go through it again. Now, he has presumed himself as being innocent, which all people are until the case has been resolved. We'll see how it turns out. But just to goes to show you that proving bribery is a very hard thing to do. The prosecution has a very hard job ahead of them. And it kind of makes me wonder, since this is his second time going through this, what's really going on with Robert? You guys can even see here, since this is the second time, you got Democrats trying to tell him, look, there's a lot of stuff going on around you, and it's causing a lot of confusion. They're trying to get him to resign. They want to get somebody else in his seat that doesn't have all of this ruckus going on around him. But he's saying, I'm not going to resign. Right there from PBS. Some New Jersey Democrats want Menendez to move on so they can fight for his Senate seat. They're already assuming he's toast. But Rob's like, look, I'm not trying to leave. I'm not leaving. I'm gonna fight this, and I'm gonna be vindicated, and we're gonna see, and I'm not gonna relinquish my seat. We're gonna see what's gonna happen though. Go ahead and give me your thoughts. Make sure you maintain a profitability, and as always, trade different.